welcome everybody to another podcast after a long period of time. I didn't expect that to happen. Apparently there was some things happening back and forth that basically just schedule issues. Because that's one of the major challenges whenever it comes to having these podcasts out. But regardless, our current roster, we have Misty Phantom, Raiza, and Ryley. Raiza, this is your first time on this podcast.
It is.
And now I just drew a blank.
I drew a blank when you said that, so I'm just like, the actual like mindset kicked in. Oh, I'm in a podcast. I don't know what I'm doing.
Be yourself. That's what I'm doing.
All right, so the only thing I know about you so far is that you're one of my patrons, and I think this is the second time I've had a patron join with me in various streams before. The previous one being Science Steel Rail. Oh yeah, and Misty. Well,
it's because you actually have something to contribute.
Yeah. So, I would have asked. Go ahead.
I was just making a joke saying I exist. That's my goal.
I exist without my consent.
Excuse me. No, I was gonna say tell everybody about yourself or something like that, but I think we kind of have a bit of an idea. The thing we share in common is that we work with customer service.
Mm-hmm. Big time.
Whenever I was live before, I've shared God knows how many stories with customer service.
Oh my god, I could go on for days.
Does Amazon count as customer service?
Depends if you work in the Washington district.
I work in a warehouse.
Okay.
I only said the Washington one because apparently there's a store over in Washington, but that's all I know about it.
But also, like most podcasts, you never know if somewhere down the line some people come and go. So I was hoping that Solar would come in because one of the following topics is something that I would just love to gush about because I wanted to talk about it for a long time. But push comes to shove, I might save that one for last. But the other ones are going to be Helluva Boss, the recent episode, a new Rip and Tear, Paws of Fury. I'm going to explain why I don't recommend it. And a movie that is not necessarily controversial, but it has a bit of an unfortunate reputation. That is Lightyear from Pixar. But up until then, how's everybody else been doing? And I asked that with a really long pause. Really, Ryley? Really?
Wait, what?
Did I cut out?
No.
No, I was asking how you guys are doing. Like, who gets to go first?
Oh, I thought you were asking the chat.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, I've been doing okay. I've been trying to get my animation video done, and I had a date with editor today, and I had fun with that. And I'm looking forward to our 1-year anniversary in December.
Cute. Oh, you're working on an animation project?
Yes, actually.
Oh.
In fact, I have a preview up on my channel. If you go and check out my YouTube channel, it's called Doors of Disarray, Pleading Innocent.
Oh.
And like I said, the preview is up on my channel if you want to give it a watch.
Oh, I gotta give it.
It's only like 30 seconds.
30 seconds, huh? All right. It shouldn't be caught up on the feedback of OBS, but let's see. Doors of Disarray. Oh God! Like the first few seconds, I see like chunks of the Rip Cafe and it's jolting all over the place.
I have since fixed that. But yeah, it's like less than a minute.
Okay, I'm seeing it. Oh, you're legitimately animating your character. Like, she's moving her legs, there's lip syncing.
Well, yes. What I'm going to do is it's going to be a combination of puppet animation and vector animation. Mostly because Looney's puppet only has the one view. I can't, have a front view and a 3/4 view with him, so I can't move him or bob his head up and down like I can my character.
Oh,
It's kind of
that I can understand.
stuck.
Yeah.
So
He's
yeah.
a turtle.
So people in the chat, everyone listen, start cracking cold ones to summon Solar Flare. Because I still remember.
Cold ones.
He's not
We
lying,
don't buy
Sam.
soda anymore.
I know. I wish that would work because it was hilarious many years ago when I was streaming a game. Ellie opens a cold one and in comes Solar right at the perfect time.
No, we need to mention Niagara. Then he'll come.
Niagara?
Don't you mean Viagra?
Yeah, that little blue box that you made with solar flare on it.
Oh, that's Gamagra, and that was Aeon.
Oh,
I thought you were set up to a super clever These Nuts joke, and I was gonna be mind blown.
I think you got that mixed. I think you got that mixed up between that and Solar Cream.
that might have been it.
I still remember that. Like myth coming in. Hey, so I hear this is where you're coming for thirsty for Solar Cream. What's going on? These nuts. Oh, Danny Lockhart, you just reminded me of one of the recent videos by Jet, who is that one YouTuber who dubs over those Sonic clips, those game clips. And not Solar. Shadow was like, "I'll give you to lick my balls." That's the joke. You guys can laugh now. Explain the joke, and he does. And then the robot guy, I forgot his name. He
Omega.
He's like, humor or joke does not make sense. Please insert the following humor CDs. What kind of CDs? CDs nuts. La 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 la.
I love that channel. I love the one where he's just like, where Silver's just like, I can't tell you anything about the future. Wait, at least tell me about Sonic Adventure. And he's just like, which one? Sonic Adventure 1 or 2? And he's like,
the one I still love, I'm in a conflict between these two. One of which is the GIF argument. It's pronounced GIF, like the peanut butter. The creator said so. And the other one is, I'll bet you can't make a sentence without the letter A. And like, Tails puts a lot of effort into his sentence, and then Knuckles steps in with, F*** you.
you.
I don't know if you watched it, Golden, but I sent you a thing. It was like Sonic Boom with no context. It's the funniest ever.
Sonic Boom, the TV show, I love the writing and humor of. Like,
Dude,
they had so much fun with that. Yeah.
Watching it out of context is so good.
The amount of in-jokes.
Sonic learning how to swim. All the 5-year-olds are going to pick on me, Knuckles. That's why I gotta beat up the biggest one in the yard. Knuckles, that's prison. Only if you let it be. That's why he's going to knock the shit out of a 5-year-old.
Actually, like, Solar shared me a little story at one point when he was being allegedly bullied. He said that he took his pen and he stabbed somebody on the arm, and then nobody bothered him again.
Like, with suit, like, okay, f off.
I threw a guy in a trash can.
I slapped someone in the face.
Oh, Equestria guy, you had to bring that up, didn't you?
The bees! The bees! Oh, bees.
I never got bullied because I never gave a reaction when I tried to get bullied. It was just like, they would try to pick on me for something, for some shit. I was like, oh, no, okay, whatever. Like, that's it? Yeah. I didn't know, because like, what? It's like, how do you want me to react? I was like, I don't know what to tell you, it's true, but...
Yeah, death is coming for us all.
I still love that line.
Yeah.
Pizza, is that you? Oh, you've gotten so old. Yeah, death is coming for us all, kid.
Funniest line in the movie.
All right, so I think we've been in this with the opening
Intro?
Yeah, I think we've been in this intro long enough. We don't really have much to share as of recent time. Oh yeah, that's right. I hate the summer.
I love the summer, so
Summer sucks.
Yeah, it does, dude.
Hey.
It's hot, sweaty, smelling, sticky. You have to pay up the for so much money off of Edison bills.
Hey, it's not as bad as like heating bills sometimes during the winter, where if you don't pay them, you can freeze to death. But like,
actually, I never had that big of an issue with the heater.
Same.
yeah, because you live in California.
You know what? Fair.
I just like the cold. I can literally sit in the house with like 30 degrees and I'd be okay with it.
I have never liked the cold, and I've lived in New Hampshire most of my life.
I still.
Hey, as long as it's,
Go ahead.
I mean, as long as it's not humid, I'm usually good in the heat.
Laughs at you all because I'm Texan and I'm built for the heat.
I'm the most northern southerner.
But as for plans, we're up to, I'm making some plans possibly for the future, and yeah, see how that goes.
Here we go.
Anyway, I've been more motivated to work on stuff too.
Oh, motivation's
Anyways.
been a.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna take advantage of it while I can.
What is it saying? You know, Amy, anytime someone calls attention to the breaking of gender roles, it ultimately undermines the concept of gender equality.
Oh, that's from a scene in Sonic Boom. It's
that's
line that Knuckles says.
It's so funny.
Oh,
You know what?
Zuckerman, the humidity. That's what makes summer such a
Yeah.
bitch in California.
Yeah. Well, in your area, it's just dry heat.
No, there's a
What?
lot of humid.
I don't remember there being humidity.
You'd be surprised. Maybe there was just a dry summer back in 2018. But anyways, anybody else got something to share before we get to the meat and potatoes?
I like potatoes.
Yeah, definitely.
I had pork chop and potatoes. So I literally had meat and potatoes today.
Nice. I'll bet that was delicious.
Oh, it was absolutely yum. My tummy is happy. Pork fat rules, and you can't tell me otherwise.
Alright, so are we ready for our first topic?
Let's begin.
Yep, let's get
Just
to
gonna
it.
let you guys know I haven't watched like Top Gun or Lightyear, but I do know of Lightyear stuff.
Okay, that's fine. Well,
I'm gonna be.
our first
I will be
topic-
only useful.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm only be useful on Helluva Boss.
Well, that's the topic I was just starting with.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, so yeah, this came out about at the time of this podcast being streamed. This came out about 3 weeks ago. I'll have to look at its release date. But anyways, apparently this is the start of season 2, and I was surprised that we had a backstory type of episode because the last episode ended on a cliffhanger with Blitz crying to sleep on a couch. Like that kicked us in the balls when that happened. So we have an entire backstory with Stolas and what he grew up with, and we also learn a little bit of Blitz or Blitzo at the time before he wanted to change his name. I don't even know where to start with this.
Are we going alphabetical or can we volunteer?
Volunteer, go right ahead. I'm trying to fill in the void.
Okay, so this kind of makes you rethink their entire relationship between like Stolas and Blitzo. Because up until this point, we thought that their whole like debauchery was like mutually consensual, beneficial, kind of just meeting up and fucking each other, right? But it's like apparently Blitzo kind of manipulated him into it. And it kind of makes Blitzo look even worse in comparison.
It kind of
Honestly.
does, but at the same time, there's there has to be some kind of reason involved. That.
Well, I know there's.
Go ahead.
I know there's reasoning involved. I mean, look at his family, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, apparently his mom was the only decent person, and his dad literally tried to sell him for, like, chump change in his pocket. Literally.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
To quote the actual episode, I wadded up 5 in a slim fit condom.
Wait, what?
Yep.
He did have a slim fit
Literally-
condom.
Yeah, literally that was what it was in his pocket. Wadded up 5 in a slim fit condom.
Oh, that's right. I'm so much more focused on the second half when Stolas was having his foot down on how Stella was treating him.
Oh, Stella's an absolute bitch, and
Oh,
she got
we'll get,
that moment.
we'll
was
get to
epic.
that, but let's lead up to that.
Okay.
But it's their entire childhood. It was cute, but it like when it led up to the more current times, like the stuff we saw in the pilot episode and all that. It just like, he didn't just steal it or fucked him. He literally seduced him himself and got him to give him the book and shit. Which, in a way, sorry if I'm not being articulate enough, it just really doesn't paint a good picture on his part. But then the second part hits in, and I'm starting to get back into the story of what's going on at hand, and the whole Stella dynamic. I'm just like, oh yeah, man, tell that bitch off.
I love that. It's like, what the fuck was that, Stolas? Well, she slams her teacup.
That was the sound of a fucking device.
I get she has her pride and all, but Stolas has a point. There was never any love in that marriage. It was an arranged marriage from their childhood that literally was only made to conceive another heir.
Yeah.
So why is she so butthurt about it? Is it just because embarrassment of having her husband cheat on her and stuff? But I'm just like...
But at the same time, she wants Stolas dead. Like, she literally got, what's his name to try to kill him?
Striker.
Yeah, Striker. Yeah. So it's like, she's trying to get something off of him, even over his dead body, so...
Well,
it's just...
Alright.
Here's the thing, though. She's a classist. And with that, it carries, I guess, a stigma that you basically have to be perfect at all times, and if you're not, you're mocked for it. Her husband cheated on her very publicly. And I think it basically ruined her reputation, and that's basically all she cares about. Like, when you remember her dialogue...
I'm sorry for the interruption, but her reputation is already down the gutter as is when you think about how she presents herself.
Oh. Alright, go ahead, Misty, and I'll say my thing.
Sorry for the interruption.
Well, not a problem, but that's the thing, she makes herself to be, like, someone important and upper class around her fair weather friends, and you can't tell me those are actual friends. So I think she's trying to maintain an image around them. Plus, I have another theory. You remember that name that she was going to drop before, as she was backslapping, Stolas, yeah?
Her brother, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, her brother. Andralphus. Do you guys know anything about Andralphus?
No.
Nope.
Andralphus in the Ars Goetia is a Marquis, but he, which makes him lower in Stolas' status. And according to rumors, he and Stella are very close. His power, I think, resembles Stolas's, but to a lesser degree. So you could argue Stella, yes, would not only gain from Stolas' death because that fixes her reputation, but it could also make her brother rise in power.
So...
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So now, here's my thing. So, obviously, when they were married, they were still together when Striker got called to kill Stolas. everything if that would end up happening, everything would have gone to Stella, and like she said, with the whole I did some small digging on that too. I didn't know the same extent to her, but he would it was like they would have had more control over than the Goetia would have. Not more power than Goetia, but they had a lot more compared to what they had when Solus was alive. A thing I have more theories on the end, but it's just the beginning is just like Solus is adorable. He's an adorable baby.
Oh no, I loved his outfit when he was going with Blitz on the date.
Yeah.
That nebula cape inside.
Mm,
Oh,
It was a bit overkill, but you can't say that he didn't look fucking good.
Yeah. No, the things he would do for Blitz, I hope that Blitz appreciates him more and more in the series.
well, we'll see.
Oh, I haven't figured that one, but I'll wait till we get to the end.
Apparently, there's supposed to be a new episode at the end of the month, too, supposed, too.
Damn,
On the
that'd be kinda
26th, I believe. Well, I mean, they've been waiting to put out this season. They're having difficulties with, like, some in-between episode between seasons 1 and 2 that was just basically filler, so we didn't need to see it or something. I don't know. I don't know all the details.
I mean,
I hear that they ran into legal trouble.
Yeah.
Finn went over in his video saying that like Vivzie had some legal issues with an older song used in one of her videos, and something happened in her staff. It was just thing after thing kept happening.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of silly?
Like, she literally nearly got completely doxxed because of that former employee.
Okay, not cool.
Yeah, no, people kept calling her like a slave driver. Like, apparently she would drag people in calls to make fun of other shows and how toxic and abusive the entire work environment was. And
that whole thing.
yeah, it was covered in malicious lies and intent. And that's just the worker part.
Well, there's a lot of back and forth on that and stuff. I don't want to go into that whole thing because I've seen different stories about the whole thing, so I don't want to. Yeah.
Okay.
Fair.
It's still development. Let's.
But back to the episode itself. I've briefly said my piece about Stolas making his ground in front of Stella.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, like we've already touched upon it.
It's interesting.
Go ahead.
Like some people. Well, sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, it's like some people were talking, and I've heard some people asking about this, of why, if he already said, oh, we're getting a divorce back in the flashback to the pilot episode, why is it he's saying it again? And that's because it's one thing to say you're going to get a divorce and try to get, like, things, and it's another thing to actually fully go through with it. Because they basically were on the surface already separated in a way after that, but she was still trying to shame him into getting back to the status quo, basically, and he's just like, no, I'm going through with the divorce fully.
Yeah, you can kind of piece it together that she was using him like a tool.
Oh yeah.
There's a difference between I want a divorce and we're getting a divorce. One is saying I want this, but I'm not making it happen yet. And then the second one is confirmation. We're doing this. You can't stop it. Basically.
Something else I should have, like, a lot of us ought to appreciate, or at least what I appreciate with Stolas, is that despite all the abuse that he had to go through, one of the major things that kept him going to an extent was Octavia. Because
oh yeah, he's a good dad.
Yeah, he really cared for Octavia. Like, he wanted her to have a good normal life, and it turned out it wasn't. She's stuck between, like, this toxic relationship between the two, and you could tell that Stolas is doing everything he can to make Octavia happy. And we've learned that very quickly with Lululand, which, even after all these episodes, it's still my favorite one to come back to because there's something.
Well,
Go ahead.
yeah, it puts that whole episode in a different context now too, because we know more about like how the relationship began.
Yeah.
Some people have called this a complete assassination of Stella's character. Like,
I'm
and
sorry,
one thing
what?
that they apparently people used to say that Stella was justified in her anger and gave all sorts of reasons, and that this episode actually completely assassinated her character. She was supposed to be the sympathetic wife, and that's throwing a tantrum, and now she's just your ordinary generic bad guy. Literally what I've heard.
I'm sorry,
she was
but
literally established from like the pilot episode of being a bitch.
Well, I will say, I did hear all about that. It's like, oh, Stella is justified for being how mad, besides the assassination thing, but she is in the right to be so mad at Stolas for cheating on her.
Oh, you want to
Like,
know
killing
their
her?
argument for the whole assassination thing? She's upset. She can't think clearly. Her husband cheated on her. He
Dude,
should
okay.
pay for it in some way.
Okay, so I've already been like questioning a couple of things ever since the Striker episode. Like, I'm sitting there thinking, like, you know, if she doesn't want to be around Stolas, then why is she with them? Like, why is she trying to kill him and everything? It's all coming clear now. Like, just
It also
go ahead.
It also kind of puts the whole like she's a spiteful lover, and I'm just like, well, she's also a mother to a child that she has with Stolas, and he's a good dad.
But we haven't seen her care for Octavia.
Yeah,
exactly.
and
Or even acknowledge her. Even said her name.
So people are saying, "Oh, she's justified because she's no."
Okay,
And if
so
anything, you saying that they should. Sorry.
no, like, okay, I get it. She's upset because Stolas and Blitz, and how upset she was at that. But we've already seen little hints and pieces that, like, at the beginning of the episode, she doesn't give a rat's ass in Lululand. So, Stolas comes in to take care of Octavia. So it's yeah. So we already understand that like there's something underlying going on, and I started to see more of it with the Harvest episode with Striker. Like, wait, why would she want to do that? And now we understand that upon getting a divorce, she's gonna get back at Stolas. So we learned that she's using him. These were pieces that were just picking up over time. Her being justified over whether or not, whether or not it was justifiable that she was mad about what Stolas did with Blitz, it doesn't really have that much relevance involved. We just see that she's careless in the first episode we see her, or so whereabouts, and it just starts adding up.
I had a feeling where, with Stella, I think at first, after I watched the Striker episode, I was thinking, oh, if something does happen to Stolas, Stella's going to snap, and then, like, she'll, like, be apologetic and everything. But, like, after this recent episode, that kind of just got thrown in the water. Because, like, my whole theory was, oh, you just don't think straight when you're angry. So she's going to do whatever she can to get her, just get back at him. But, like I said, this episode kind of threw everything out the water.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and to one thing I also want to point out, people say that everything was fine until before this episode came out, that their life must have been fine before he cheated on her, because they point to that picture in Lululand that Stolas draws attention to, and they say, "See, look, they were happy then."
Stella did not look happy in that picture.
Well, she's got
Oh,
a
no.
faint smile, but it doesn't feel genuine.
Mm-hmm.
But let
She
me
just has resting bitch face.
yeah,
Go
let
ahead,
me
Misty.
explain something to you people who have never been in an abusive relationship from someone who actually has an abusive had an abusive relationship. there are happy moments even in an abusive relationship. You can have good days. That doesn't mean that you aren't hiding that you are hurting because of a person. Stolas, as were revealed in this episode, had been hurting because of this woman. She literally took his name and turned it into an insult. She doesn't say Stolas. She says stole ass. She doesn't refer to him by his actual name. And you want to know what she refers to her daughter as? An egg. She literally says, I'm just glad one egg fell out of me. She doesn't even call her by her name. This woman publicly humiliates him and basically emasculates him, and no, that isn't fine. That's toxic. She literally was about to backhand him and was casual about it. Obviously, he had been hit before, so the fact that he stood up for himself and told her, bitch, get out of my face, I literally got teary-eyed. Because I wish I had done that to my ex. So yeah.
Yep.
You can't tell me she is sympathetic. You can't tell me that she wasn't always meant to be an antagonist. This woman is toxic, and I am glad that they are also showing that yes, while women are often associated as the abuse victim, that doesn't mean that they can't be the abusers themselves.
Yeah.
I like that Vivzie is drawing attention to that.
Yeah, I like that they actually show a different perspective, that because it's always been used as common knowledge that women get abused by men, but there are also occasions where men get abused by women, and that kind of
Men,
like there shouldn't be any gender favoritism or anything like that. Pardon me if I'm choosing the wrong words or if I'm getting too political here. I just like that we're seeing the different perspective that, yes, even men can be abused by women. And it just proves that no matter what gender it is, you just don't do that in general.
It doesn't matter. Abuse is abuse is abuse is abuse. There's no one or two ways.
Preach to the choir.
It is abuse. You don't say, oh, you can't be a victim because you're X, Y, or Z. No, abuse is abuse is abuse. A man can be raped just as easily as a woman can.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fair.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that Vivzie is breaking that status quo by saying this woman is abusive. Not all women are the victim.
And that's not to say that this is a fresh take or that it's an original idea. I'm not going to say that Helluva Boss did that, was the first to do that, because there have been some real life cases. There have been some, I'm pretty sure there have been other titles, whether it be previous movies or TV shows, where a man gets abused by a woman, but point still stands with everything else, and abuse is abuse.
I think it's obvious that this episode kind of affected me. And I'm sorry if I'm getting too preachy.
No, you're fine. There have been episodes where I got preachy, like I said before, Lululand is still my favorite episode because I really love that daughter and father connection with what he's trying to do. He's disconnected with her, and he's trying to do everything best for her. We learn. I've learned very quickly to care about Stolas. Like, the first time I heard him, I was a little creeped out that he wants to do a bunch of random things, but we were only seeing it from Blitz's perspective. But with Lululand, man, they fleshed so much of his character out, and that was only the beginning with him.
And the other thing about Lululand, that episode hits so much harder now that this episode has come out. Because you go back and rewatch it, and you're able to piece together what he wanted to say to Octavia, but kept it a secret for the sake of her not worrying. Yeah. Your mother and I were arranged. I felt trapped. I haven't been happy in years. We weren't in love. But he kept his mouth shut so she could remain in the dark. 'Cause here's the sad part. Octavia most likely doesn't know her mother is abusing her father, and probably sees him as the bad guy because she's said, and I quote, "Home doesn't feel like home anymore. You ruined it." She's casting blame on him because, as far as she's concerned, everything was fine. But because she's so kept in the dark, when she finally finds out, it's probably going to hit her harder because she's probably going to blame herself because all of his motivation was always focused on her being kept in the dark for her own safety. So I'm curious how they're going to handle that.
My response to that is, at the end of Lululand, I guess when Octavia was getting comforted by Stolas, she was so worried that he was going to run away with Blitz. I don't think that Octavia has labeled him as a bad guy. It's at a point where Octavia doesn't like you said, she's left in the dark. But I don't think she's considered him as a like an awful person because
Look, I know this exact scenario because I have some family members who are basically going through this exact scenario with fucking the father finding out he's gay and the daughter not knowing how to react and still like holding some resentment over the change in the whole dynamic rather than just understanding that it's like yeah, they weren't happy. They weren't happy in the relationship and they weren't happy and they're trying to get out of it and be happy for them and for their kids, and because staying together for the sake of the kids in an unhappy relationship is not healthy.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and I like that. This series kind of tackles on that to such a degree, but they handle it very well. It's not just bringing up the topic for the sake of it. They're adding things on to how these characters go from one place to another. And from what I was saying earlier, like I'm trying to pick up where I last left off because I was talking about Lululand, and because I preached about how much I loved Lululand. I also loved the ending of what's it called? It was the previous episode where Blitz cried to sleep at the end. Ozzy part 1, yeah.
Yep.
The series knows how to hit some very hard, like, it knows how to hit a lot of soft spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It accurately depicts emotional manipulation, abuse, and even sexual manipulation. Because yes, Blitz did was sexual manipulation, but he only got that idea because fucking Stolas was thirsty.
Yeah, I mean, Stolas was kind of coming. Yeah,
he just took it and ran with it, but he didn't have to take it as far as he did.
It's an interesting episode, and it kind of gives new context to a lot of old ones, and makes you wonder just.
Yeah.
But honestly, I like that these episodes tackle on some very heavy subjects to show that there's more to quote-unquote adult content than just a bunch of swearing or any kind of, sexual tendencies that are just thrown in. Like, yeah...
Or the art style has to be ugly and generic as fuck.
I mean, yeah, but they managed to tackle on, like, these heavy subjects that would be way... you would have to be adult in order to tackle on these subjects, because some things are too heavy for certain audiences and such, but it has something much more meaningful than just surface-level adult jokes,
Exactly.
I'm probably just talking out of my ass here, because I know that there's a lot of other adult content that is... Go ahead.
The problem with a lot of adult content is it's just not... It's not varied enough in looks and like storylines, because a lot of the problem is like when it comes down to adult anime, its art styles, designs, it's usually some executive who says, "Oh, Rick and Morty, make something that looks like that." or something like that.
I mean,
because they don't really
The
understand.
only reason why Rick and Morty was drawn that way is because it was just the style that the artist was stuck with. It's what he could draw, wasn't it?
No, yeah, but I'm not saying that it's as a slash against Rick and Morty, but
Oh, no.
whatever the most popular thing is, necessarily like just the studio heads are just gonna say, okay, play it safe, make it look like that a bit, and not really like explore into like really interesting looking animation. Though Netflix had been better about that.
Oh, all right.
You alright?
Yeah, no, I'm just, I'm already having myself a thing of, what's this called? Iced coffee. It's to keep me awake, but just getting the yawn out of my system. Have we...
Yeah, coffee. Give me tea! I will drink tea!
I think we've said a lot as is with Helluva Boss. Anything else somebody has to say before we move to the next topic?
9 out of 10 would watch again 20 more times. Also, little kid Blitz and Stolas and Fizzaroli is all cute and adorable, and I just want to cuddle them all and get them all hugs.
I liked how pure Fizzaroli was as a child, compared to what he is now. He's just a kinky little clown.
How the times do change.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It made me really sad. It makes me sad that Stolas has to take antidepressants in order just to stay like.
I noticed that.
Fucking sane.
Yeah, and, he takes happy pills.
Well, he's been in a loveless marriage for like how long? 17 years.
I actually have the episode on the side and just going through clips, and so like the way Stella described Stolas in the bed. You just know that he's just like, I don't give a... It's like, I don't care. Just do what you want.
Just get it over with.
Yeah. And, like, saying that he was like, oh, you could come to our anniversary party. Sure. What the fuck?
She just blows him off.
Yeah. And then...
Constant put-downs.
I'd be drinking a whole thing of absinthe, too, if I was married to a bitch like her.
Yeah. That's strong. Like, that would probably kill a normal person if you just straight up drank it out of the bottle like Stolas was.
Oh, I mean the absinthe? Yeah, that was funny.
I hope so much for Stolas in later episodes, because I really like Stolas. Like, I've grown to quickly appreciate him.
Oh yeah, he's growing on me more and more.
Yeah.
Before we kick off for this topic, here's my theory. So at the end, at Stolas' song, he opens up the book of the medallion, or that amulet or whatever. So in mythology, in that medallion is able to let you go to the mortal plane. So I think either Stolas is going to try to talk to Blitz and run off to the mortal plane together, or Stolas is going to break it off of Blitz and saying, here's his medallion, you don't need my book anymore, so we don't have to see each other.
Well, here's the other thing, though. In the previews that we got of Season 2, the animatic previews, and that we leaked to YouTube because some fucker showed them off forcing their hand, we see that Octavia is supposed to steal the book. So, I too have a theory. I think most likely we don't see it in Circus, but we're going to find out at some point later. Octavia walks in on that conversation, her entire worldview gets broken, and she realizes, I need to get my dad's book back. Because she successfully takes it back. And that might lead to some shenanigans with her and Blitz and company.
Yeah.
You know, when I think about it, I kind of hope that Octavia becomes like another member of Helluva Boss. Or the Imp.
Of Imp?
Yeah, immediate murder professionals.
No, I don't think she will.
It was also cool to see that, like, Paimon was... Like, we got to see Paimon for the first time and have him be voiced by fucking Jafar from Aladdin.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Jonathan Freeman.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I didn't pick up on that. I saw the name in the credits. I was like, Jonathan Freeman. Why does the name sound familiar? And then like Chrissy clarified with me. It was like, oh yeah, that's right. Holy shit.
I was like watching, I'm like, oh, where do I know that voice? And I started picturing faces in my head, and then Jafar came. I'm like, that's where I know him.
Yeah, I had to look it up myself in order to realize, oh wait, that's Jafar. The good Jafar, not the bad one.
Oh yeah, because there's the 2019 remake.
Shh, we don't talk about that.
I haven't watched it, and I don't care to.
Good.
I just watched clips, and that's all I really cared about.
I watched the clip of the new Arabian Nights version by Will Smith, and sorry, Will, you can go back to rapping. You can't do traditional singing.
I will
Yeah.
say I do like their cover of A Whole New World, but like, oh, we're getting way off topic.
Yeah.
Right now, it's probably...
But yeah, no, Jonathan Freeman was the voice of Stolas' father.
He was
Fine
also the voice of Blitz's father, if you can believe it.
Yeah, no, he had to juggle
Really?
two different
Uh-huh.
tones in order to voice two separate characters, which I had to admit, that is dedication.
That is hard. Especially
didn't
with
know
how
about that
different Casho's voice sounded.
Yeah.
I love Spinell. I love Spinell Lover's comment. We don't talk about reboots. No.
They've kind of
We
died
don't
down
talk
lately, haven't
about
they?
reboots.
Yeah.
Let's keep it that way.
Yeah, let's keep it that way.
Mulan thankfully didn't do too well, but there's still the Little Mermaid live action one.
No!
Yeah, I heard
With-
about that, and
They already ruined Dumbo. They already ruined The Lion King. They already
please
ruined
don't
Mulan.
please don't tear off that healing scar.
Yeah.
Pun
Mystery
intended.
About that Golden. Let me.
I
find
don't
the
want to.
re-
I don't want to know. Ignorance is bliss.
No, Bliss is in the other room.
God damn it! Shut
here
up.
it is. That's why.
You know you love me.
Oh,
That's
because of
why
how much
Lion King-
money it made. Yeah.
Lion King 2019 made almost $1.5 billion.
Yee.
Anyway. Ignorance is bliss.
Moving on.
Yeah. Okay. So, I think we've kind of beaten this topic to the ground. So this is a topic that is just particularly on Ryley and I, and this is Paws of Fury. So Ryley wanted me to watch this because he wanted to make a rip and tear topic, and let's not beat around the bush here. This movie is one of the most boring animated films I've seen in a long time. Like, in the second half of the film, I was like, oh, crud, where was I? Oh, yeah, I can easily piece together what was going to happen next.
It is literally just beat for beat a remake of Blazing
It's Blazing
Saddles.
Saddles with dogs and cats in an Asian culture
Yeah.
instead of racism in a Western culture.
Yeah, it was just like, okay, cats and dogs instead of like, African Americans and anybody who's not white versus white.
Like, okay, I will put it this way. I don't mind, like, I kind of expect formulated stories to come in. Like, everybody talks about the quote-unquote the road trip story or other kinds of formulas that are comparable to one another. The difference is, as long as, like, if people are saying that it's boring and predictable, it's because something about that movie did not do a good job to bring in the tension or the suspension of disbelief or just do something to captivate the viewers.
Yeah, and Angel of Feed brings up a good point too. Like, this movie had been in development hell for like, I think since 2013. Like, there was all kinds of sketchy shit behind the scenes when they were first trying to get it off the ground. I remember Rebel Taxi covering it all in the video, but just the fact that they were able to come out with this film was just like, Oh,
Yikes.
okay. Let's see how this train wreck turned out.
Like after hearing all that, it's the thing that saddens me even more. Okay, so I don't think there's too much of a spoiler to lay out what the plot is. You have a dog who's, the outcast type of character, and he wants to become a part of something bigger than that. Like, he wants to do something grandiose. But he's, like, he goes through a lot of the hardships and learning everything. Like, the movie doesn't even try to hide it. Like, you can easily tell where it's gonna go. You can easily tell what's gonna happen. Like, near the end, I kid you not, I was just gonna, I was gonna see it, like, note for note. Like, we have a scene where after he's doing, making a lot of progress in his quote-unquote training montage, we have a scene where it's like, maybe I could take a day off because I've worked so hard. He lets his guard down, and guess what happens? Something happens, he's not there. They get into a fight, like him and the trainer get into a fight. They part ways, and then they group together again after a change of heart. They triumph in the final climax, and the movie ends. It's like, I've seen this done so many times. Like, there was nothing special gained out of it. You gain nothing new out of it. It's the same song and dance that is so formulated that it just doesn't offer anything new.
It literally is just like completely watered down. The jokes don't land in the same way because they don't have the same context for one thing, and it's just like they cut a few jokes out, and they don't even. I mean, sometimes they'll break the fourth wall and stuff like that, and okay, that can be somewhat funny sometimes, but they don't just go balls to the wall. Fuck it, let's break out in a fucking Hollywood studio fight and like the fucking end to Blazing Saddles, the original, that they didn't even try to reenact in this.
Yeah, from what I gathered, Blazing Saddles was supposed to be a parody of the constant Western cliche formulas.
The literal writer of the music, or the conductor for the song, or the conductor for the music for Blazing Saddles, didn't even know it was going to be a parody movie. He just wrote it like he was just making music for a Western in general. That's how funny. It's just like...
Oh my god, that's the other thing Spinell Lover brought up. One of the directors of The Lion King was involved with this project. Ouch.
Oh.
I think it was Rob Minkoff?
It's just... I mean, and Mel Brooks was involved. He's a co-producer, but at the same time, like... I'm not disappointed because the guy's like, what, 96
He's 96.
or something?
I think he deserves to go out better with a better movie, you know?
Yeah, he's been doing things here and there. I mean, he was in Hotel Transylvania 3 and 4, I believe. No, 2 and 3.
Okay, I just looked it up. Yeah, it was Rob Minkoff, who was one of the directors of Paws of Fury. They had 3 directors!
I like the fat cat.
Are you talking about the big cat? Okay, I will say, if there's any character, to give anything positive about this movie, I like the little white kitten. Like, she's a cute little kid who is not afraid to take on anything. And we see that she has some potential skill. It's just she's constantly shrugged up because, she's a kid, she doesn't stand a chance. Which, to some degree, I can understand, but at the same time, anything could work. You know, everybody is just too much of a coward, and it's just so dumb.
Well, I mean, the big sumo character is basically Mongo from Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
Saddles.
Saddles, yeah, no. And
what the fuck?
Mongo.
Yeah, we even have a scene. We even have the quote unquote fart scene reenacted, and it's not even that funny because. Okay, so yes, I know, gross, like toilet humor. It really all depends on its execution. The scene in Blazing Saddles, without contest, does a hell of a lot better job because.
Oh, it's a lot funnier.
Yeah, it's a lot funnier because so side by side comparison here. In Paws of Fury, basically the soldiers that are getting prepared for battle, they're letting off one thing after another, and people, a couple of people are tossing aside a bunch of cauldrons that were filled with beans. One farts off and they laugh, and they just fart off another and laugh, and they're just like, ha, that's funny. Like, they're being too self-aware. Whereas in Blazing Saddles, it starts with one dude, or a camera that is shot up to one dude, eating a plate of beans and a roll, and he lets out a burp. and one guy just lets one out. And then another one, and it just builds up constantly. So it creates this anticipation of guys who are just sitting around farting their asses off while just eating. Like they're being disgusting. And that's what the whole joke is before one guy comes in. How about some more beans, Mr. Taggart? I say you've had enough. God dang.
I know, it's so much more better executed, and it translates a lot.
Yeah.
What is the word? Right. It doesn't translate as well because in that scene, the original, it's like playing it up for laughs about cartoonishly how funny it is that all these characters are farting this much and shit in this like parody comedic fashion.
Yeah. Whereas
Versus it's just
in Paws of Fury, they just ha 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 he farted. Like there's a way of handling it. And I've already said multiple times in the past that if I want to watch something with toilet humor, I would just watch The Nutty Professor. But I'm not going to, like... I've learned much better that when it comes to fart jokes or when it comes to toilet humor, it really all depends on how it's done. One of the following examples, I remember this from a small Flash parody. It was Stick Death. There was a couple of terrorists who were trying to be sneaky because they had drones that could hear us. So one of them just lets out a fart which gives away their position. Like, that was funny because it's a fart that just completely ruins them. Or, again, with the Nutty Professor, you have Cletus who's talking to his wife and saying, "You want your cooler clean? Fine, I'm going to clean mine." And it's funny because he just lets one off without a care in the world, saying, "Yeah, I'm just going to get myself clean," just completely let loose.
Well, then we also get into the... You remember who played the main baddie in the film?
Which
Ricky
one?
Gervais. The Ricky Gervais cat character.
Was it the tall one with the curled whiskers?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. He barely emoted.
Yeah. Like, the guy was doing the most forced yells and, like, evil laughter and just, like... He was just mostly deadpan mode. He could not give a fuck. He just could. He's like, okay, how much am I getting for this? 1 million, fine. And all this other shit.
Oh my god. Okay, so I'm on Wikipedia, and I know Wikipedia can be taken with a pinch of salt. I'm looking at the details of who the director and the screenplay is. There's literally a portion that says, literally based on Blazing Saddles by Mel Brooks and a bunch of other producer names.
Yeah, I would imagine. This movie is completely worthless because Blazing Saddles is just so much better.
Oh, it is. I haven't seen the movie in a long time. I ought to watch it again.
Oh yeah, we should do a thing sometime.
Absolutely, I'd be down for that. But
you better call me when you do, because I am not missing a reviewing of Blazing Saddles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I would just... Okay, Misty, I will give you this much. Blazing Saddles is very insensitive with its humor.
No, I've seen it, and I'm not missing a reviewing, because I love that movie.
I love it.
Okay. And I just want to point this out to anybody else who haven't seen Blazing Saddles. That's a movie I would beyond recommend over Paws of Fury. But if this movie were released today, it would not sit well at the box office because we live in a society where comedy is in danger.
I think, well, the way I see Blazing Saddles is just like the racism is just funny because of its absurdity that these characters have towards this guy. It's just like there's one scene in like Paws of Fury where they're basically trying to do the whole like the old lady where he's going like, "Hello, ma'am, how isn't it a wonderful day today?" And in Paws of Fury, she's like, "Yeah, screw off, dog," and it just doesn't have the same punch as when she says, "Up yours," N-word. Hello?
Yeah, sorry. I was reading the chat. We do not want to use any of the words out there. I know that Zuckerman was trying to blur that out.
Yeah, that's why I said N-word.
Yeah, but regardless, with Paws of Fury, don't watch this movie. It's just... Okay, it's not the worst movie ever made. I know it sounds exaggerative like that, but it is dull. It is dull. It is lifeless. You are not missing anything.
It just has no value.
Yeah, like, I've seen the trailer for it, and I could easily tell this looks really stupid. Like... And I know that when it comes to, these animated movies, and I say something looks stupid, people would argue saying, oh, that's just for kids and such. That's a cop-out. You can make some wonderful children films. And I've learned over the years that when it comes to animated movies and whatever stories they tell, if they do a remarkable job that with whatever topic and theme that they have, with something that resonates with kids and adults, you do a better job. It's what Walt Disney said best. You're dead if you aim at kids. Adults are kids grown up anyway. Paws of Fury was just there to be just jingling keys. Like, that's all it's there for. It doesn't try to add anything new. And
also...
Go ahead.
Well, also with Blazing Saddles, it had Richard Pryor as a writer on it, too. It wasn't just Mel, and that was one of the reasons why it was able to do that kind of humor so well, too, because it had, somebody who has experienced with that humor. For, race stuff, as far as Richard Pryor goes.
Yeah, but, Paws of Fury is just one of those examples. I've seen those kind of trailers when I would go to the theater to see a movie of some kind, and it's it's from a small company, and it's about this character doing something that you've seen a dozen times before. It's not going to take off very well.
Yeah. It completely misses the point of the original being a parody of this whole trope.
And it hurts me because I would love to see these small animation companies put in a lot more effort. Because you have companies like, what's it called, Laika, who did Kubo and the Two Strings.
Yep, Kubo.
Yeah, Kubo, yeah, no, that's... Oh my
Coraline.
God, that is a beautiful film.
God, but it underperformed.
I know, and it's that's not the first time. I mean, a lot of Laika films underperformed. I think Shaun the Sheep underperformed as well. Basically, something that wasn't CGI, and it's... I wish I would, I wish I would do anything in, any power I would have to help support, something that just isn't CGI, something that's more authentic. And that's not to say that movies that have their own authenticity with CGI is underperforming or anything like that. I mean, The Mitchells versus the Machines, you had Spider-Verse, you had the Lego movie, ones that look a little more dynamic, or the Peanuts movie from Blue Skies, may that company rest.
I know, but the problem is, as much as I would love to see more 2D films in theaters and such, there's still this weird generalized stigma that 2D animation has by the general public of just being for kids and shit.
I didn't even say anything about 2D. I just say that's something that just isn't always CGI all the time. I mean, Kubo wasn't CGI. That was stop motion.
Okay, good point. Yeah, never mind. Sorry.
But it would be nice to have more variety and not just CG, let's redo this formula, and people are just going to watch it because it looks pretty. No.
They are experimenting with more, though.
I am biting my fucking tongue right now to not go on a tirade. I think everybody understands my point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we've spent enough time on this thing.
Long story short, don't see this film. Just don't.
Has no value.
Yeah.
No value.
And speaking of another movie that doesn't have any value, or what's argued about it, this is something that I have more mixed feelings of, and not so much as negative, and that is Lightyear from Pixar. Now, I originally was gonna try to see this in theaters, but I ran into a couple of obstacles here and there, and then I found out that it wasn't doing well, or that people said it wasn't good. So I was only taking it with a pinch of salt and thought, you know what, maybe I'll just watch it later on. Surprisingly, it came to Disney Plus, and I gave the movie a shot. And here's where I stand in all of this. Sorry if I'm overtaking the conversation. This wasn't the Lightyear this wasn't the Buzz Lightyear story I was expecting. And I think this is something everybody else has said, that they were expecting more of a galactic journey, like Star Trek or something. Because that's what I thought Buzz Lightyear was loosely based on. But instead, we have this unusual sci-fi space travel, not space travel, a time traveling story. A time paradox where Lightyear fast forwards through several decades through people's lives. And I can't even imagine what that would feel like. I mean, Buzz is just trying to fix this particular... So let's lay down the plot here. And as I give out spoilers, take this criticism with a pinch of salt and you can give it a shot yourself. I don't think this movie was the worst Pixar's made, but it's not one of their best. And it's sad to me because there was a lot of potential and a lot of ideas that could have worked for a Lightyear movie. And the movie even clarifies that this is the movie that Andy saw that made him a fan of Buzz Lightyear. And there's so many questions regarding that compared to the toy. But getting the premise out of the way, the crew is inspecting a terrestrial planet. They were examining the atmosphere to see if it's breathable air, if it's sustainable to live there. But Buzz stated that this planet is not very, what's the term? Unstable. Like, it would not be the best place to live in. So he tries to...
it's inhabitable.
Yeah, it's inhabitable. So he gets in this giant ship to try to take it off. He's disobeying, a lot of suggestions that the AI is doing. He's being too self-dependent, and you can easily tell that he has trust issues with everyone. So he fails. He crashes, and now everybody... And it's like this ship, this big global ship, it's an entire, community of people. And after they crash... They spent an entire year just putting together this small little utopia. They have a safe fence, so that way nobody gets hurt, shit like that. And eventually, Buzz tries to work with some kind of crystal to help with hyperspeed to allegedly try to get everybody back to Earth by working with this. But every time he does it, he zooms by a couple of years. He skipped 4 years... with the crystal, trying to work with one crystal after another. And he keeps doing it because he's so passionate about getting this mission done instead of letting people be stuck on this planet forever. But you notice that over time, everybody's complacent. They're all complacent, but he continues to try to work with this mission to the point where his friend Hawthorne, she becomes a grandmother and then she passes away of old age, and he's fast forward to God knows how many decades. And she has a granddaughter, sorry. She has a granddaughter, and she becomes the next companion. And it just happens over and over. And then, here's the big twist, plot twist. Everybody knows about the name Zurg. Like, he was the quote-unquote Darth Vader of all this. It turns out that Zurg is just Buzz from a much further future of trying to figure out how to stop this mission. And then... the recent Buzz, or the current Buzz, starts to realize that after everything that has happened, because he starts to gain a connection with a couple of newer companions and what they have to learn and such, he has a change of heart, realizing that maybe he shouldn't be doing this, that maybe he needs to stop the mission. This doesn't sound like this doesn't sound too bad of a plot, but this could have been any other sci-fi movie. I was expecting Buzz Lightyear to be more like... Okay, so I looked at the trailer and I saw that Buzz was about to take off on a shuttle. I thought that was him on Earth and he's going out in space to explore things as a quote-unquote space ranger. But it wasn't. It was this weird time-traveling type of story. Like, some of these scenes try to play up a similar act like Up, with how some people, the main character's life was on fast forward. But this is with Buzz, and he's constantly repeating the same mission over and over and over. And I think that they could have... Basically, I think they just took this space-time traveling plot, slapped Lightyear on it, and called it a day. That's kind of how I feel with this movie. And it hurts to say that, because Lightyear had a lot of potential to be this interesting... a sci-fi space travel type of story. And we kind of didn't get that. Now, obviously, we can't dwell on the things that we want to see, but it's just so confusing with what we identified Lightyear as. Because if Andy saw this, you look at the toy, that big red button opens up those two wings. But you look at the spacesuit and it's designed differently. Like it's a hatch or a switch. So I'm sitting there thinking, did they forget about the design of what Buzz was supposed to be? Like, it's driving me crazy just talking about it. I don't hate this movie. There were some moments that I liked out of it. It went through certain directions that I thought was going to be predictable, but they changed it up a bit. But it's not that much. So I had quite a lot to say. I don't know if anybody else saw it yet. Maybe it was just me.
I have not.
Okay.
I haven't either, but I am taking all the criticism with a grain of salt. I haven't actually seen it myself. I don't just go off of one person's opinion and say, that's my opinion too. I try to form my own conclusions.
Okay.
But I am willing to give it a try. Because, like I said, I haven't seen it. What judgment do I have to pass on it?
That's fair. But this is a movie that I kind of wanted to share with those who've seen it. Like Solar Flare's seen it. He hasn't joined the call. I don't know if he's gonna stick around or not. Because I asked him if he could join in on the discussion of Top Gun Maverick, which is something that I was saving the last one for. Because I don't know how long he has. I just texted him right now. So, like I said, I don't think that Lightyear is a bad movie by any means. It just felt off. You know, I think that this movie would have been better off with a different title. Or it would, like, maybe this kind of script would belong to, like, a different kind of sci-fi movie involving space travel and stuff like that. You know what? Spinelliver makes a good point. Let me see if I can get Robin is offline. Alright, so I can't contact her. Oh. I just crashed after work, but I'm up now. Give me a few minutes. Alright, so I'm going to continue talking about Lightyear until Solar comes in. Alright, so he's going to be on in a few minutes. So, because a lot of you haven't seen this, like, it wouldn't be fair to ask this kind of question of how this competes with Turning Red. But I've only...
I haven't even seen Turning Red yet, so give me a moment to see that.
Oh, you haven't seen Turning Red yet?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so a little bit of a tangent here for a second. I absolutely adored that film. It is funny. It knows how to... it prematurely tackles on the topic of puberty and such, but in such a manner that it's it kind of plays off naturally of this kid who's, you know, going through a difficult phase. Angel of Speed, yeah. Turning Red was better. Turning Red, that's one of my favorite movies of this year, and there's a handful of movies that are my favorite this year. Some like, let's see, oh yeah, Turning Red is Pixar's best work this year. I think Turning Red is one of the best. Still, my favorite Pixar movie is WALL-E. That's still gonna that's gonna stick as my favorite because there was something. It had a bit of a Spielberg charm to it, along with, you know, its environmental message that people say that it's beaten over the head and such. But honestly, how would you have done a better job trying to tell an environmental message?
WALL-E.
Yeah, no, WALL-E, it was adorable and fun. Hey, Courtney, how are you doing? But if I were to... here's a better question. And I'm going to answer my own question with ranking my favorite Pixar films so far. WALL-E, Inside Out, Turning Red, I don't know where to put that so far, and I'm sure I'm missing a few other Pixar titles. But that's some of my favorites so far. And obviously Toy Story for its, you know, its novelty and everything. So to ask you guys to fill in the void, Misty, what are your favorite Pixar films so far?
Of the ones that I've seen, one of the ones that always stuck out in my head had to be The Incredibles.
Oh, that's
Mostly
a good one.
Yeah, mostly because the original Incredibles was something I always loved and adored. It kind of made me feel less bad that I didn't have any good qualities. Or at least in my opinion, I didn't have any good qualities. It kind of taught me every member of the family is important, no matter how small.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, Encanto's message, but done back in 2004. I don't think I need to explain why Finding Nemo is one of my favorites.
Okay.
Finding Nemo is just a good story in general. What are some other ones?
What about Coco?
I actually didn't see Coco.
Sorry, go ahead.
I didn't see Up at all. I probably should, but I also remember Ratatouille. I remember watching Ratatouille in theaters, and I had fun with that.
Yeah. Hey, Solar, how you doing?
And there's the Solar.
Yeah, we're
Venus.
we're talking about what our favorite Pixar movies are. And Misty was
what, like this year?
well, just in general.
In general.
Yeah, we were just filling in the void waiting for you to show up. But so far, Misty said The Incredibles, and what was the other one?
Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo. Okay, yeah. Raiza.
And
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm
sorry.
gonna have to think about what my favorite one is.
Sorry. Any other titles to share, Misty?
nah.
Oh.
Outside of the normals, I love Toy Story. I grew up with that. And you asked me about Coco. Coco nearly made me cry.
Yeah.
Nearly.
But moving on to Raiza, what are some of your top picks for Pixar so far?
All right, so I don't think I have like an absolute favorite, but I love Up, obviously. I love Turning Red. I liked Brave, honestly.
Oh,
That one doesn't get a lot of love. Yeah, I do like Brave.
I like Brave too.
That's a hot take.
Really?
Yeah, no, a lot of people Keyframe hates the movie Brave.
Really?
Yeah, because the
enjoyed
original script had a different story that was beautiful, called The Bear and the Bow, before it was changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole different story right there.
I also liked Monsters Inc. I liked Ratatouille. Bug's Life and Finding Nemo are special to me because those are the movies my stepbrother and I watched a lot when we were younger. Let's see, what else we got?
Although nowadays you can't say I support Bug's Life without people decrying you as a pedophile supporter.
They'll be fine.
Yeah.
Inside Out is a beautiful movie.
Oh,
that's probably
Inside Out. I remember when I saw that in theaters with other people, we were all bawling our eyes out at the end.
That's probably my favorite. So if I had to say like my top three, be Inside Out, Monsters Inc., and Finding Nemo.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to Ryley. Ryley, what are your picks? Just loosely. Ryley?
He's deafened.
Oh, he's deafened? Alright, I'll just go ahead and tag him. Okay, so, Solar, why don't you go ahead and just explain if you have any favorites from Pixar?
Let's see. I mean, I also really like The Incredibles.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, Brad Bird did a really knocked it out of the park with that one.
Sorry, did something happen?
I liked Toy Story. I definitely liked WALL-E. WALL-E's definitely one of my top picks.
That's my absolute favorite.
Yeah, I love WALL-E. I'm like a I'm a sucker for like anything that has to do with space.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm also actually kind of in the I'm kind of going against the grain here, but I actually really enjoyed Lightyear. Like
Okay, because that was the
everybody
topic we
said
were
that
having. Go ahead.
Lightyear was like yeah, because everybody said that Lightyear was like mid, and I'm not going to disagree with them, but I'm also just a huge sucker for like space opera, space fantasy type stuff. And
Absolutely, yeah.
I
honestly,
get you.
I think Lightyear was a very nice self-contained story. Like the story wasn't anything that was like revolutionary. It didn't turn Pixar on its head or anything. But it was a very nice self-contained story, and you know it was just fun to watch.
And you know what? I definitely agree with you on that. Like, I was underwhelmed with it. I kind of expected Lightyear to be more of a galactic space travel type of story and not this bizarre time traveling paradox that he's in. But there were people who were saying that this was Pixar's worst and everything. I'm like, not really.
Pixar's worst, really? Like,
Yeah,
at
like, I've
worst,
seen-
I've
like-
heard it's mid, but
it
like,
always appears in the YouTube recommendation saying Lightyear was Pixar's worst. Lightyear is a failure, and stuff like that. These exaggerated titles, and I'm just sitting there like, is it really that bad? Yeah, it wasn't. But it's not it wasn't one of Pixar's best either. Like you said, it's more of
No.
mid-tier. So, yeah, no, I'm with you in the same ballpark on that. I'm just more underwhelmed, and I'm pretty sure you liked it more than I did.
it
Yeah,
was a miss.
I had a good time while watching, and that's kind of the most important thing when you're watching a movie is if you had a good time.
Yeah,
so.
it has its moments. And, I just think that this kind of story would belong to something else that wouldn't have Buzz's title on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But is this Lightyear? Is Lightyear Pixar's worst? Absolutely not. Not by a long shot.
I mean, you also have to consider that, like, this is Buzz Lightyear's origin story. So this is, like, before, like, the galactic spacefaring stuff really became, like, his thing. This is where he started. This is where he began. So, like, I imagine if they were ever going to do a sequel that kind of takes place in the same style, we're going to get, like, more of a spacefaring space opera type thing.
I would love to see that. I would love to see him travel through, like, other planets or other locations and such. I think that it's still weird, though, that it turns out this whole time that Zurg was just Buzz Lightyear from a distant future where he's old and decrepit.
I mean, in
Yeah,
Toy
that
Story
was
2, it was
kinda-
implied that Zurg was his father, so...
That's still
It's not
funny.
too
So
far off.
true.
Yeah, like that was obviously there. That was obviously there to make fun of the the
It was a
big
Star Wars reference.
yeah,
Yeah.
the plot twist.
That was a
from
Star
Empire
Wars
Strikes Back,
reference.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, like, okay, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend Lightyear, but if you go to see it, you'll get.
I mean, it's on
you'll
Disney
get-
Plus.
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus. So if you choose to watch it, feel free to. It's not like it's nothing like Paws of Fury, which we talked about earlier. That Ryley and I just went and tore apart. Like up until Solar, up until you shut up, I had to carry all the weight explaining things about Lightyear because nobody else saw it. And I'm not
Yeah.
putting blame on anybody. I'm not shaming anybody. I'm just debating, like talking about what to expect with this movie. Don't set your expectations too high with Lightyear. I think that's the best way to describe it, and you'll get some entertainment out of it. So, I think I've explained plenty about Lightyear. Solar, I'm pretty sure you've explained plenty of Lightyear, unless there's something else I'm missing.
No, not really. I mean, it's a pretty solid, Space Ranger movie. So I mean, if you're a big fan of Buzz Lightyear and you like really want to get into some backstory stuff, then you'll probably be entertained by it.
Oh yeah, and one more thing, I did not mind at all that Chris Evans was voicing Buzz instead of Tim Allen.
I thought he did a very good job.
Yeah, because when I heard Buzz Lightyear, I heard Buzz Lightyear.
I mean, it's kind of it's kind of a more serious take on Buzz Lightyear, but that was kind of the whole point of the movie. Like it's supposed to be the film that Andy saw that made him love Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah.
I love how somebody compared it to like how a character will sound in a movie versus how their toy version usually has like some guy in like some local janitor or something come in and like record a sound of a voice of the character instead of the original actor.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember hearing from Tom Hanks that one of his that he had a brother, and he was doing all the Woody voices for the toy doll.
Yeah.
Somebody
was
poison the water hole.
He also voiced him for he played him in the Woody character in Kingdom Hearts 3 in the Toy Story world.
All right.
Fuck, I cannot tell.
All right, so I think we've said plenty as is for Lightyear. Solar, go ahead and tell everybody what you think of Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, here we go.
Top Gun Maverick is is chef's kiss.
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest. I was actually kind of nervous when I heard there was going to be a Top Gun sequel because I kind of felt like the first movie didn't really need a sequel.
Yeah.
And I was wondering where they were going to go with it, and I was like, is it going to stack up to the original? And I honestly think it does. It's probably one of the few movies this year that I've really enjoyed because it felt like it was a movie that just knew what it wanted to be about. It was like there's not really any like hidden message. There's no real agenda behind it. It's just a really solid action movie with Tom Cruise in a fighter jet. So like what more do you want?
Yeah. I'm pretty much in the same ballpark with you on that one because when I heard for a while because news articles about Top Gun getting a sequel were around for literally years, and I'm sitting there thinking like, what the hell are you gonna do at this point? Like, where's Maverick gonna go other than just be a Top Gun instructor? And then little did I realize, like, some people actually left some good hints. Like, I did a review of Top Gun a few years ago, and somebody left in the comments that it was going to involve Maverick and Goose's son. And I thought, maybe I think that's a good route to go with. And they definitely delivered on that with Top Gun Maverick for Rooster. So going into a little bit of spoiler territory here and explaining the plot, Maverick gets called in to escort a couple of recent pilots who were part of the Top Gun Academy to take on a viciously dangerous mission where they're stuck with their Generation 4 planes, which is the FA-18 Hornet, taking on a couple of SU models. I think they're the SU-57. It's a 5th gen model. I don't know if they explain anything about why they didn't have the F-35 yet. That's the Americans' 5th gen model. But there wouldn't have been a story if it wasn't for that. So they have to learn so many different kinds of flight maneuvers that Maverick is teaching them. And we even get a montage where Maverick literally kicked their ass by targeting them in the same fashion of how, each of those tests are. You get a lock on somebody, like Jester's dead, stuff like that. If you haven't seen the first movie, that was their routine. That the goal is to target them. That's it. Like, you don't open fire, you don't launch missiles. That's just stupidly dangerous. But if you lock on somebody, that means bingo, Maverick's dead. You're out of there, kid. So I will also say this: you're not really missing much if you haven't seen the first Top Gun, because the second Top Gun movie does a brief recap to what is relevant to the current plot. Like, Maverick gets flashbacks to his friend Goose before he died, which, if you haven't seen the first movie, he died because he launched his head into the roof of a cockpit after the F-14 flew into a flat spin by a jet wash.
What did he go into that for?
I'm sorry?
Because they pulled the eject and he hit the canopy on the way out.
Yeah,
the canopy didn't clear.
Yeah, it was a freak accident. Actually, interesting tidbit. I found out that Goose's death was loosely based off of not just a series of events, but also a pilot who, during the scenes of shooting for Top Gun, had a freak accident. I don't know if it was by an ejection or not, but it has been proven before that even if you were to eject, you're still in danger. You never know if you hit the roof of the canopy or you're still, because you're also vulnerable in midair. You never know if, let's say, an enemy pilot will come in and shoot you with its guns. And compared to a regular gun, like the bullets off of planes are thicker and it would just like tear through your chest. So I could just I'm just loosely stating things, but it was referencing a pilot at that time. And I think this was a good idea because it shows how dangerous it is to become a fighter pilot, not just because you're steering a plane that in midair, even if there's a loose screw, it will explode, you know? When did this chat get silent? I don't know what Spinel Lover's talking about.
Did you accidentally hit mute? Because that'd be pretty funny.
Hang on, I gotta check.
No.
I hope that's not the case. Alright, I'm trying to get some clarity here. Technical difficulties. Gotta love them. Okay, so we can be heard. So, anyways.
Okay, that had me worried.
Okay, so within Top Gun Maverick, yes. Maverick has somewhat of a connection with Rooster, who's Goose's son. And he's trying to make it in, successfully. But we've learned a couple of things that Maverick has done some shady things to him. And we learn throughout the movie that he's very protective of Rooster. Like, he doesn't want anything bad to happen to him. He doesn't want him to suffer the same fate that Goose did. So he's being somewhat of a spiritual protective father to him. And I like that duo with the two, especially near the end of the film. But, so I've been saying a lot about Top Gun Maverick. I'm pretty sure that Solar would have more to say about the movie in detail.
I mean, it's Tom Cruise flying a fighter jet, and it's just a real blast to sit through. Like I said, there's not like any sort of like agenda that it's trying to push or anything like that. It just wants to be a good sequel, and I feel like it accomplishes that with pun intended flying colors.
Yeah.
I mean, they like when they get into like explaining the mission and like how precarious it is, it's really fun because they're going into like how it is basically borderline impossible for the F-18 Hornet to handle it. But they have to push the Hornet to its absolute limits to a point where like they even straight up mention, we're going to push this plane harder than it's ever been pushed before, even if it's to the point of having to bend your airframe to make it work.
Yeah.
Which is what ends up happening later on in the movie, so that's fun.
Yes, and I just want to point out that Maverick is putting all these risks in there, but he also like has this conscience of hoping that nobody gets killed, because he doesn't want to get anybody, like he doesn't want to like make the same mistake like what happened with Goose. So like it's a bit of a conflict that he's having between pushing everybody to their limit, but hopefully not costing anyone's lives. In fact, at one point, one of the pilots was pulling up a 10G or like a pull-up of some kind, and it knocked him out. So we had to get his attention by making a lock-on sound like, hey, wake up, you're about to like fall to your death.
You're about to crash there, buddy.
Yeah, and like I was on the edge of my seat ready to piss myself. Not literally, but people, like, I will say this much. When I saw the movie, shut up. When I saw the movie in theaters, everybody, like, it's one of those things where if you see it on opening day, everybody's going to be heavily engaged. They're going to applaud. They're going to have extreme reactions of some sort. People were having this extreme reaction when one of the pilots almost crashed. And then all of a sudden a flock of birds flew into another engine, and they had to eject. Now, they survived, but it's still like, holy shit. You know, it just shows how dangerous it is to be a pilot sometimes. And another of which is near the end of the film, where I think the audience laughed. I had a laugh out of it. Maverick and Rooster are in enemy territory. Maverick gets shot down first. Rooster comes to the rescue. They both hijack an F-14 Tomcat, which is a nice reference to the first movie. But they're taking this big motherfucker, and they're taking on an enemy plane like the SU-57, which is a 5th gen model. And we have a scene where...
Two of them.
Yeah, one of them, I think he managed to like do a trick with the gun and gunned him down. But the second one, he launches a missile, and the plane literally performs what's called a Cobra, which is like pulling up dramatically, and it's curving around the missile trajectory, and then it just flies behind them. And Rooster was like, "Holy shit! What the fuck fuck was that? And everybody was laughing because they dropped the F-bomb in a PG-13 film.
I mean, in a PG-13 film, you are allowed one F-bomb, and I feel like they very strategically placed that in a good spot.
Yeah, exactly. Something like there were a bunch of other moments that people were laughing about. Like, for instance, in the beginning of the film, Maverick is testing one of those experimental planes, and he goes past 10G, which it's a very dangerous speed, but then he goes to exceed past it, blows up the test plane, crash lands somewhere in an open area where there's a diner. He walks in, and he looks like an astronaut suit comes in, and everybody's just looking at him, but people are chuckling. We see that he's
drinks some water.
He drinks some water, and he's like, "Where am I?" And the kid was like, "Earth," and everybody was just storming up a laughter.
Where am I?
Earth. We also have another moment where, yes, Iceman is there, but unfortunately, because of the condition that Val Kilmer's having, they also played that into Iceman's character just so that they can have a cameo.
Yeah, I feel like Val Kilmer kind of got done dirty. I mean, granted, yeah, he does have a condition, but like, he had like 5 lines total in the film.
He kind of did. But when you think about it, like, it's even hard for him to speak, so he had to put in so much effort for that. It seems
and I'm glad that he was still there, though.
Yeah, I just think that's a situation where the writers or the producers wouldn't have much their choice other than to do that too. I think it would have been more dirty if they did not show Iceman at all. You know? So I think they did as much as they could for Val Kilmer's character, and I do wish the best for Val. Cancer sucks. Cancer could die in a ditch.
Yeah, I will still remember him as Moses.
Yeah, I remember that. Or Batman.
I'm Batman.
Nice. But I like that, Iceman asked the question of, who do you think is the better flyer? And Maverick is just like, this is a very genuine moment. Let's not ruin it for us. And everybody was laughing again. So, we definitely give out a lot of spoilers here, but even after giving out these spoilers, I still heavily recommend this movie. So far this year, it's been my favorite. Like, it's been top tier so far. Like, even more than The Batman. Which, I don't know how people are going to feel about that. I'm not saying that The Batman was in any way bad or anything like that. I mean, but compared to, like, other Batman films, I still like The Dark Knight the most.
Batman.
Which, as cliche as it sounds, it's just the straight up fact that The Dark Knight was just a really good fucking movie. That it would just not be a fun call. It would not be a fair competition. But The Batman with Robert Pattinson, they did a really good job on that one. You know, I like that they're offering different spins instead of telling the same story over and over again. But Top Gun Maverick, I think what I feel did the impossible. Because I didn't think that a Top Gun sequel would make any sense. But upon hearing more and more of it and piecing it all together on where this movie was going to go, I was beyond surprised. But also as I look back on the first movie, and mind you, I love the film. And Solo loves the film. I love the soundtrack. I love the cinematography. But in hindsight, Top Gun, the first movie, it's a 2-hour music video spanned with Kenny Loggins in Berlin with tons of aircraft pornography. And that's all.
Kinky.
That's a matter of preference on whether you love it or hate it. But that's kind of what it is. And personally, I love it. But anybody who took issue with the first movie, not just because of how formulated or done by the numbers it was, or that they spammed the same type of song, Berlin's Take My Breath Away, over and over again.
Yeah, that's something that didn't happen in Top Gun Maverick, by the way, thank God.
Yeah, they actually did fix that problem. So they fixed that, and they managed to put something where an experienced fighter pilot who you can get behind and is trying to do the best for these new set of flyers and pilots to take on some dangerous tasks. There's a lot of weight going on with this character, and I really love how they managed to do that. And they did its job. When I saw that the Rotten Tomato meter rating was at like a 97%, I was like, that is excessive. Something's fishy going on here. But I saw the film and I was like, all right, you got me. This movie was fantastic. So
it's one of the rare occasions where you go on Rotten Tomatoes and both the audience and the critics have roughly the same score.
yeah, they have like roughly the same agreement. And I was just, I just watched it and I was like, you know what? I think this is better than the first movie. And I still love the first movie, and it's all a matter of preference, but Top Gun Maverick I just think it's better in every way. Like, they fixed up, the spamming of the songs in the soundtrack. Whenever they did use some of the songs, they're just faint in the background. Like, Lady Gaga's Hold My Hand is faint in the background. They only played it at the end credits. Like, okay, yeah. Not to mention, during the end credits, they gave a shout-out to Tony Scott, who was the original director, and some of you may have already heard what happened in 2012. He jumped off a bridge.
Mm.
And, but I like that they mention him and they dedicate him on top of making a sequel that, did its job. So, apparently I've heard a recent update that the Blu-ray copy is set to come out sometime in November. Like, some said even November 1st. I'm going to take that with a pinch of salt. But when it comes out on Blu-ray, I'm purchasing it. That's going.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, and I wouldn't hesitate to buy the first movie. But again, that's just my personal take on something. But yeah, that's where I stand. Top Gun Maverick. It's so far my favorite movie this year. But we'll see how the rest of the year goes. Solar, like, I know that you love this movie, but out of many movies you've seen this year, how high would you rank this? Like, is it your favorite, second favorite, if you were to...
Oh, I think this one's also my favorite this year.
Okay, that's
so far, like, nothing else has really come close to its level.
All right, then. So, ending the topic, go see Top Gun Maverick if you haven't yet. The movie has gained a lot of attention, rightfully, and it's one of those movies that did really well at the box office, deservingly. So check it out when you have the chance, even if it's out on video or on a streaming service platform. I'm going to presume it's probably going to be on Paramount Plus, but when you get the chance, see it. It's worth it. 5 out of 5 for me, or 4.5. Alright, so now on with the Q&A, and from here on, I'm just going to try to fill in the void until we get any questions involved. Because for whatever reason, whenever I'm live streaming on anything, there's always a delay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's also to keep people from, like, spying on you during games and shit, too.
Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe.
Oh, Angel
I mean, I know
Oh, go ahead.
maybe it's a setting in Twitch that you can adjust, or it's a setting in OBS. But if you really wanted to change it so there's no delay, you could probably look in your settings.
Okay, so...
You're probably looking for low latency mode, but you'd need high-speed internet for that.
Alright, so Angela Speed asked a very good question. Is there going to be a Asking the Foxes here? Yes, there is. In fact, at the time of this stream, I'm going to start doing a stream tomorrow for that. I've already set up a couple of cards for it. I just have to, make the room presentable. But yes, Angela Speed, I'm very glad you asked me that. I will definitely get on that. Spinel Lover asked me any thoughts on Multiverses. I haven't played it yet. I actually want to be surprised. I currently
I think you'll like it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll like it. I'm just setting up a donation goal to reach it because I'm trying to get my tires replaced. You already know that story.
It's a good game.
Wait, what happened with your tires?
My tires are starting to flat out. Or they're thinning
Oh.
out. Like, you see the little ridges on the patterns and everything? They're getting really,
Yeah.
really thin. And that's
That's called a tread.
Yeah, the
it's-
treads are thinning out.
It would be cheaper if you bought your own tires online and then have them installed by a place. That's what I did.
Is there a website for it?
Yeah, I could find it for you later.
Okay. Because the most preferred place that I was always recommended was from my parents called Affordable Tire. It's one of, if not the only place in Southern California where even people from Fresno, which is far up north of the state, would drive all the way down to get their tires replaced. Because they
Golden?
have, yes,
Question?
yes.
Do you have Adjust Tires over in Cali?
Adjust tires, not that I know of. I'm not sure what that is.
Just Tires is basically a car automotive repair shop, but they mostly specialize in all things tires, and they're actually pretty cheap. We have them down here in Texas, and I heard that they have some locations in California. Maybe you could go look into one of them.
Okay.
Like-
I might look into that. We don't want to get too far off topic with that. We'll move on to the next question. Magical Star Flash has an interesting question for Solar and I. What's your favorite type of plane and why? Solar, I'm going to let you go first.
So that's actually a pretty interesting question. For old school planes, a lot of people like the P-51, but I actually like the P-47 Thunderbolt. The P-47 Thunderbolt is one of my favorite, like, World War II era fighters, just because they're so goddamn tough. They were nigh unkillable because they would just get shot in the air. They'd come back looking like a plate of Swiss cheese from so many bullet holes. But because the airframe was so sturdy and because it had so much armor, they could survive like pretty much any. Like there's this one story of this guy that's in a Thunderbolt. Like either his gun's jammed or he was out of ammo, so he was trying to fly back to base, and there was a German pilot behind him that was trying to shoot him down, and the German pilot literally, like, basically shot all of his ammunition, and, like, most of it hit the Thunderbolt, but because it was so tough, it just kept flying anyways. So then the German pilot, who is now out of ammo, then just flies alongside the Thunderbolt and just kind of gives him the wing waggle and then just flies off. Because he couldn't really do anything else at that point. But, also in that same vein, for modern aircraft, there's the A-10.
Yes!
The
Sorry.
The A-10's a really fucking good one. It's
It's a flying gun, and it's a beautiful flying gun.
That's the thing. It's just like people are like, "Oh, the A-10 is like a plane with a really strong gun." No. The A-10 was designed from the ground up as a gun, and then the guy that fucking designed it was like, yeah, that shit needs to fly. Let's put some fucking wings on it."
Let's make this gun fly.
It is a
Go ahead.
beautiful ground attack aircraft. It is it's beautiful. You hear that cannon firing, and you just know anything on the ground within like a 4-mile radius is just completely obliterated at that point.
He's kissing it.
Oh, Derek, Pizza Hut, hands down.
Pizza Hut, hands down. Oh.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, no.
Domino's or Pizza Hut.
Yeah, I know. We're falling behind on a couple of questions here. No, I'm a big sucker for fighter planes. Yes, Misty?
Oh, I thought we were moving on to another question. I was gonna.
I'll finish up the previous question and then try to catch up from there. So, yeah, I'm a big sucker for planes, obviously, but I don't have a specific favorite. But I will say that the A-10 was one of the earlier plane titles that I loved as a kid. Models as a kid. And
mine.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Mine's probably the SR-71 Blackbird.
Oh, that's an experimental plane, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm biased because my great uncle was on the Skunk Works that developed that plane.
Oh, really?
I'm a pilot's daughter, so I grew up around planes pretty much all of my life, but I only grew up around 2 kinds of planes. My dad flew a King Air and a Cessna. So I don't know a whole lot about planes, and I didn't even know what a Boeing 767 was until I got on my first flight to Washington.
Yeah,
So-
I don't know much about planes, but I just know some about.
Which is sad because I'm the daughter of a pilot.
So, if I were to try to list them down, it's mostly a bunch of F models, which isn't saying much. The F-14 is a thick boy. It's a real shame that the plane is retired over 15 years ago, but it's still a gorgeous looking plane. The F-15 has its own authentic looks. The YF-22 is sexy as fuck. And
excuse me.
I have some respect for the F-35, but it's still in the early years, so I had to wait for time to go by to see how well it like holds up to the test of time. Because like we're working with 5th gen models, so
Yeah. Oh, what's this?
so that being said, let's see what the next questions are. And
Equestria Guy asks all thoughts on the recent meme that features 3 characters from an old 80s cartoon movie with a funny walk cycle with dubstep music.
oddly specific.
I don't like memes. I don't like memes, and I don't like dubstep.
All right,
And
then.
I don't know how.
Heretic.
And I don't know a whole lot of 80s cartoons, so I can't say.
All right, next one. Have you seen the videos where Eddie Burback and Ted Nevison heed to every rainforest cafe in America? No, I haven't.
head to.
Go ahead.
I actually just learned about that on what was it? Not Film Theory, Food Theory today, and apparently there's a whole bunch of hidden lore in the Rainforest Cafe that Matt Pat uncovered and things like that. It's meant to be all fun, and he discussed why people didn't focus on the Rainforest Cafe as the inspiration for Freddy Fazbear and Five Nights at Freddy's, and instead Five Nights at Freddy's drew inspiration from Chuck E. Cheese. It's kind of interesting, but I think it's more meant to be an episode of Turn Your Brain Off. This is meant to be fun. Not really anything deep.
All right. So, let's see. What other question do we have?
Oh, here's one.
Breath of Okay, so let's go to the recent one. Ask all. How did you guys get into the MLP fandom? What episode did you end up watching that got you hooked on the show? I watched it from the very beginning and liked the pilot episode and continued afterwards.
I tried to get into the first season after some friends who were in the Navy recommended it to me. Couldn't get into it. Then I saw Josh and a certain person's review on it, and I gave it a second chance. And the Discord episode is what got me really hooked on the show.
Okay.
Mine's actually kind of a funny story, but I'll save mine for last.
I don't think I started till, I want to say like 2013 or 2014. And at that point,
sorry.
At that point, I'm pretty sure what ended up happening is because so many people were talking about it at that point. I just kind of looked around on YouTube and I basically found I basically found like a 4-hour video that just had all of season 1, and then I found one for season 2 and season 3. It's like, okay, well I can just watch it all in like one sitting, so why not?
I remembered those, and those got taken down.
Naturally.
Yeah.
My story, or I'll wait till you're done.
But yeah, I think it was. Honestly, I feel like the first 2 episodes kind of did hook me, and then I was just kind of along for the ride at that point. But I think it really started taking off around season 2. Is when I started getting really into it, like especially the season 2 finale. I was like, okay, so they're starting to go a little farther, starting to expand those
Cancel Out
roots
Wedding.
a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I remember when that came out. Everybody was nuts about it.
Oh yeah.
This day, Arya.
Oh yes,
This
I remember
is
that.
going to be perfect.
The
Remember when they
kind
got
of
Gilbert
day of which I
Gottfried
dreamed
to
since I
sing that
was
one?
small.
God, rest in peace.
Okay, so
Oh yeah, with my story, I got into MOP actually because of a friend of mine. His name is Jeffrey. He and I have been friends since elementary school, and when we were in high school, I remember this. This was my sophomore year in high school. He told me he got into. No, it wasn't my sophomore year. It was my freshman year. Or which one was it? It was one of those two.
Decide.
But he told me that he had gotten into My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic and how good it was. I laughed at him like, "You're watching a TV show that's meant for ages 3 to 6. what are you? Why are you watching it?" And he said, "Because it can teach you good life lessons. Because it's actually entertaining." And I laughed at him at first, but as I was listening to him, and I kind of was rolling my eyes. At one point, my nieces had been visiting us when my mother was still alive. May she rest in peace. And one of the episodes actually came on, and it was the one where Aloysius was introduced, and it was basically a jealous of new baby episode. I forget the actual title.
Jealous of Aloysius, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Owl's Well that Ends Well, I think. And
Yeah.
I'm like, and I passively watched it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's passable. It's kind of predictable, but I didn't really think of it much of it, so I didn't really count that as my introduction. One night, while I'm just up late, my mom's already in bed, and I'm trying to decide what do I want to watch before going to bed. I come across this episode on the DVR, and it was Suited for Success. It and I read it. I read the synopsis of it, and I'm just sitting there thinking, why does he even like this when the quality of that one episode I saw was less than lackluster? And my brain just starts thinking, you know what? I'm never gonna understand it unless I give it a try. So I watched Suited for Success, absolutely loved it, and I'm like, what's the pilot like? So I look up the pilot. And this was during an era of YouTube where you could watch whole episodes of something for free and not get in trouble for it. What a novelty! So I watched the episodes on YouTube, and the more I watched, the more I took in, the more I got hooked on it. And yeah, I was able to watch it up until the new episode that had just come out, which was Putting Your Hoof Down, and there was leaked episodes of It's About Time, and yeah, after that I was just all in. So yeah, by the time I had started watching, season 2 had already been out, and we just lost Silver.
Oh, Solo left.
Yeah.
Oh,
I probably droned on too long. I'm sorry.
nah, you're fine.
Alright.
Yeah, I saw leaked previews of It's About Time back in those days.
Yeah, no, there was almost any episode at that time in the earlier seasons where they were leaked on YouTube. Let's see.
Mine's old-fashioned. I watched the death battle between Rainbow and Starscream.
Oh, I love that one.
And I was so confused why this fucking horse beat the shit out of a giant robot, and I didn't understand it. And so my first episode I watched was Sonic Rainboom, and I was like, okay, I guess I can see why. So and then I don't know what possessed me to watch more episodes, and then I watched from beginning of season 1 all the way to the end of the season finale. And the funny part was, this entire time, I thought Raiza was a background character. Because I didn't know what she was doing there.
Son of a whore.
Well, she's one of my, she was one of my favorite characters now, but it's just like, because the episodes I watched, she didn't do anything. And I was like, why is she here? Is this just like a popular background character?
Oh, Josh Scorcher and Thespia would like to have a word with you.
Okay.
Listen, I'm not bright. I was just really confused. Oh, no. The second episode I watched was Bridal Gossip. That's what it was.
So I'm guessing you had internet trouble, Solar?
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be a bitch.
Okay, ask all. Are you done? Sorry.
Yeah, I was done.
Yeah.
Okay. Ask all. What movies or series are you waiting for this year or next year? Mandalorian Season 3 and Ahsoka.
Stranger Things Season 5.
For this year, Bleach 1,000 Year Blood War arc, because I'm a Bleach simp.
A blimp, if you will.
A blimp, yeah.
Colin, what did you think of the Bob's Burgers movie? Didn't see it.
I haven't seen
Oh,
it.
I want to.
I want
I've
to watch
heard-
it so bad.
I've heard. I mean, I'm glad it did well because it's a 2D film in theaters that actually apparently did well. Surprisingly enough.
Haskell, what's your favorite Mel Brooks movie aside from Spaceballs, Blazing Saddles? Actually, it's a toss-up between Blazing Saddles and Police Academy.
Okay.
Police Academy is in Mel Brooks.
It's not? Oh, I'm sorry.
I will
There's,
firmly
like-
confess I haven't seen that many Mel Brooks movies aside from Blazing Saddles and Spaceballs, so I can't really offer much of an answer.
I'm saying
Uh,
Spaceballs because that's the only one I've seen.
Well, he said you can't do Spaceballs.
Definitely gotta be Blazing Saddles. Blazing
Blazing
Saddles.
Saddles,
Goddamn
yeah.
funny.
Yeah, we're thinking about watching that again at some point.
Yeah,
It's got
Um,
fucking Gene Wilder in it. What more could you want?
Yeah, really.
exactly.
Haskell, what do you think of Marvel Phases 4, 5, and 6 announcements? I think everyone's just burned out of the
Yeah,
MCU at
we-
this
We
point.
kind of
We've
I
talked
mean, the
earlier that
MCU's
we're
been
just,
fucking
yeah.
mid as fuck after Endgame.
yeah, no, we're
I'm
we're
not-
done with. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah.
I'm not. I want to see where it goes. I think I have an idea what's gonna happen, but like, I see why people are burnt out.
And that's
Like,
fair.
I'm open if I hear good things from people, like friends and stuff. But
Mhm.
right now, I'm just like, it's becoming a chore to keep up with.
My whole thought process is basically after Endgame, all the films started really falling off. Like No Way Home was the last one I kind of gave a shit about,
Mhm.
That movie was just goaded.
and then all the other ones like Immortals, I basically heard fucking nothing about Immortals. I heard Multiverse of Madness was pretty mid. And like mainly because they made a lot of characters really stupid and contrived. God, what else recently fucking came out from Marvel? Like I can't even like remember any of the recent stuff that came out because it's kind of just been
It's
passing
been
by.
like Miss Marvel, Moon Knight. I tried getting into Moon Knight, but I've only been like a couple episodes in. Loki was okay.
Loki's
Liked
good.
Loki. I had fun with Loki.
Yeah, Loki was fun.
Tell all, if you're thinking of getting HBO Max, don't. They're imploding. I wish I was joking. Wait,
yeah.
No,
what's going
because
on?
I've been hearing that HBO Max and what was it, Discovery are like clashing together or something like that.
It's Warner Brothers and Discovery because like they decided to do a merger of Discovery because they're both owned by like Discovery Media and I forget the other company. Anyways, they're trying to consolidate both companies into Discovery, Warner Brothers Discovery stuff basically, and they're gonna launch a single streaming service like next year or something in place of HBO Max and Discovery Plus or whatever the fuck it's called.
Okay.
It's stupid, and
It
they're letting
is,
go of shows and movies
Yeah,
for some reason.
unfortunately, we can't do much else about it. You know.
Yeah. It's between this, Netflix, and Disney Plus raising their price. It's like,
I don't have any of that shit.
It's like, what be those sales on the horizon?
I mean, I'm not as worried because I don't have HBO Max. I don't have any reason to get it. No offense to anyone who has it. And I already have Discovery Plus, which has my daily dose of spoopy.
I have piracy.
Same.
There be sales on the horizon.
We on the GoldenFox podcast do not condone piracy.
Exactly.
No.
We do
What?
not for legal
I
reasons.
understand it, though.
Piracy in Minecraft.
Oh, but we do endorse the right kind of piracy. Stop blowing holes in my ship.
How's that the right kind of piracy?
I was making a joke and it fell. Curse of the Black Pearl.
You tried, Misty. You tried.
I tried, but I did.
You want the right kind of piracy? Let's just do game emulation because it's preservation.
Yeah.
Asshole, have you ever tried the candy known as Jawbreakers? They're alright.
Yep.
They hurt my teeth.
Which new video games are you looking forward to play?
Uh,
I am.
Bro,
playing
I'm waiting for Gundam Evolution to fucking come out already. I played the fucking open beta. I was having so much fun with it, and then they're like, "All right, so we're gonna close down the beta. We're gonna do some final tests," and then it was like, "When's it coming out? When's it coming out?
No,
Why are you gonna leave me like this?"
Like, I had that feeling with the Cowabunga collection. I'm like, Konami, when? And finally they announced it. It's coming out at the end of this month for the TMNT Cowabunga collection. I'm also looking forward to Freedom Planet 2, which is said to be coming out sometime in September.
I am looking forward to The Wolf Among Us 2. I am so excited. I love that game. I swear, GoldenFox, if you ever stream that, you have got to tell me. I absolutely love that game.
I guess for me it would be Pokemon Violet.
Yeah,
maybe
same.
2 and 3.
Same.
Yeah,
but,
Violet and Scarlet. You guys were saying?
Mine is probably going to be Hogwarts Legacy. I like saying the gameplay. It looks very interesting and fun to me. But I am playing a very wonderful game called Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Which, by the way, if you haven't played it yet, play Xenoblade.
No.
Oh, here's fucking one. Nintendo, when the fuck's Metroid Prime 4 coming out? Come on, you gotta give me something. You gotta give me something.
Don't give
I know
a
you
fuck.
I know you had to like restart development, but come on, like just please, a crumb of content, I beg you.
You know what would also be convenient at that time? Like, re-release the Metroid Prime trilogy on the Switch.
Yeah, exactly. Like that seems like a fucking slam dunk.
There are rumors that that is gonna happen.
I swear to God, like they're like
a month ago or something.
Like they better make like at least a physical copy because we don't want it to get the same treatment like Kingdom Hearts had. Oh, it's only like an online thing.
You can only stream Kingdom Hearts 3 on fucking Nintendo servers. Yeah, that'll end well.
Yeah.
Oh God,
that was horrible. Like, I'm not a fan of Kingdom Hearts, but I felt really bad for all the Kingdom Hearts fans. Like, legit bad.
Pissed.
Like, oh, that's horrible.
It's one thing if they decided, oh, hey, like, just digital download only. We're not going to sell any physical copies. Okay, sure, whatever. But, like, making it so that you can only stream the game. You can't even download it. You can only stream the game on Nintendo's notoriously shitty online. What were they thinking?
Something I found very interesting. The reason they kept it as a digital or a streaming thing, so they said the storage of the Kingdom Hearts games, you put all 3 of them on the whole thing on the Switch, it would take up too much storage. But I'm just like,
that's such a stupid cop out because you can buy
external SD cards.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But here's the thing: they're putting Persona 5 on the Switch as a physical copy.
I know. That's what I mean.
That game.
You can buy a fucking 256 gigabyte micro SD card for like what, $30? That could easily handle every Kingdom Hearts game on it. Easily.
Listen, Nintendo has small pee poo brains, and I don't know
Nintendo. I don't think it was Nintendo. I think it was Square being lazy.
No, it was Nintendo's decision on that.
How?
That's what they think. Nintendo said that their game could not stay on the system because they were worried it couldn't run it fully properly, and also storage. But I'm just like, if a fucking PS2 can run Kingdom Hearts 1, excellent.
Okay. Again, don't release Kingdom Hearts 3 on the system. Just do the other games then, and then maybe put out 3 when you're able to put it out as a singular game later. Like, Jesus Christ, all I've been wanting is to play Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 and the other games on the go, on a fucking Switch, since I even heard about the Switch.
If they were so worried of a 2001 game running properly on the Switch, there's something wrong with the Switch.
I'm seeing like, hearing that this was clarified by Nintendo for the idea of this decision, no, I'm not surprised. At all.
That is bullshit, though. That is absolute. There is no. You can run fucking Kingdom Hearts on fucking little miniature emulators and shit with like PS1 and PS2 emulating shit. There's no fucking way that PS1 and PS2 games PS2 games are not able to be emulated on the Switch. That is bullshit. I do not accept that as an excuse.
I don't either, but fucking Nintendo is just dumb.
It's. Yeah, no, I can't even.
let's see. Also looking forward to the Callisto Protocol. God of War Ragnarok looks pretty good.
It
Ooh,
does look
Dark
good.
Tide's coming out later this year too,
Wait,
so that's nice.
oh yeah, Battle Network Collection. I'm definitely gonna pick that up.
Same. Another good game. Oh, I guess I'm looking forward to this one. It's probably I'm only probably interested in it. It's called Cardfight Vanguard Days Train. So, this is probably my favorite TCG card game of all time. And for whatever fucking reason, Japan or Bushiroad likes to make that all their games Japan only. They never send it overseas. But this is the
Because-
first. No,
Sorry.
Bushiroad doesn't like American the American players. But anyways, for the first time, we're getting a English version of the game on Steam and Switch, and I'm just like, about fucking time.
I mean, like, how many actual fans of Cardfight Vanguard are there that actively play the game in like tournaments and shit?
Let's see. In the last quarter, Cardfight Vanguard is the fourth most selling card game in the United States.
Really? And yet I
Yep.
don't really see it too often at the
So-
card game.
Number one is Pokemon. Number two, well, it used to be Magic for the longest time. So it was right now it's number one Pokemon. Then it was Magic. Then it's Yu-Gi-Oh. And it is tied with Dungeons and Dragons because they consider Dungeons and Dragons a card game style of that format.
Really?
Yeah, And, like they consider if it's tabletop, it's considered a TCG in their eyes. I'm like that's fair.
I don't think, but okay. Like two completely different ways of playing, and I don't
Well,
know.
tabletop and like card games are kind of like at the same topic in their eyes. I mean, I don't know. And then there's another card game coming around called Flesh and Blood, which that game's been selling really well. So that might take over Cardfight Vanguard. I don't know, but regardless, it's still in the top 5 out of like God knows how many. It's still good.
Honestly, Splatoon 3's, ever since I saw the Nintendo Direct on that like a week ago, I've been like, okay, yeah, I'm more interested in this game now. I'm liking
Man, I saw one of those England designs. Oh,
oh, you're talking about the big ass forehead and the goth one.
I'm talking about one of them. All right,
Oh, okay.
I'll show you the picture.
Anyways,
All right.
that one's
Yeah, that one was a big one. So, let's see. What other question can we find? I do apologize to the viewers if I didn't get your question yet, because there's been a handful that were so interesting that we kind of lost track with everything else.
Yeah.
So, have you watched the Super Sammy Roll that Netro Rad review recently? I don't even know what that is.
Super Samurai. No, I haven't even heard of that. I know Super Nitro Lad, but I don't. But Nitro Rad, yeah. But
Oh.
I've never heard of that game.
Okay, I'm gonna help out Blue Griffin. How is D&D a card game? The origin of Magic: The Gathering was it was meant to be a game that was played in between breaks in a D&D session. That is literally how Magic: The Gathering came to be.
Yeah, but it was between breaks and D&D sessions, not like, yeah. I don't know. That logic seems still flawed. Like you could say that about Solitaire.
Isn't like there's a reason why behind it, but I
Yes.
think wasn't like hold on.
Well, they did something right because it blew up.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go nowhere without hearing about Magic.
Oh yeah.
Like
Um,
you tell someone I play D&D, they'll ask you, "Do you play Magic?" I'm like, and yes or no.
I think
Nah,
because
never
Wizards of the Coast has something to do with Magic and D&D, but that's probably why.
They own
I was
both games.
Yeah,
I
that's
was
probably
always more
why.
into Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, I'm more into Yu-Gi-Oh. I didn't get introduced to Magic until like a couple of years ago, thanks to Lunacorva and Sub-Zero. But Yu-Gi-Oh is always my priority. Like I don't even play the Pokemon games. Like the Pokemon card game, I mean. The actual
Yeah,
video
big
games I
toy.
played.
That design is so ugly.
I don't mind it. It's just different.
Well, I think Pokemon was trying to rip off Magic the Gathering, kind
No,
of,
not
Ah.
that. No,
because they
want
have
to
a similar setup.
No, I sent Ryley the picture of the Splatoon girl. I just don't like the way her design looks. But I don't think Pokemon ripped off Magic.
Wasn't there some kind of lawsuit over that or something where they had to change up the game? Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
You're thinking Yu-Gi-Oh.
Really?
Yes. So back in 2002, they had a set called Magic Rulers, and the cards in there were called Magic cards. So Magic the Gathering, they're like, hey, you can't have your things called Magic cards because it's literally Magic the Gathering. And they threatened to sue Konami about it. They're like, all right, we'll just change it from Magic cards to spell cards.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's right. They did go from magic to spell.
And also
Spell
in the Europe copies of Magic Rulers, they were called spell rulers, so it wasn't too much of a hassle.
Yeah. What were you saying,
Who's-
Misty?
Who's interested in seeing the upcoming Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves movie? I didn't even know this was a thing, but now that I know about it, I'm definitely going to see it.
At least it will never top Michael Ironside going.
Obviously, it's not for me, so I'm just gonna give it a pass.
I wasn't prepared for that hissing.
You've never seen the original Dungeons and Dragons movie with Michael Ironside? Fucking Scar.
No. To me, it sounds like you're trying and failing to make a Silence of the Lambs reference. I ate his
Nah.
liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. I'm not even going to attempt it because I know I can't do it.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, but no, it's it's the way he acts in that movie that like he's over dramatic as fuck. Jeremy Irons, not Michael Ironside.
Oops.
Oh yeah, I got confused because they both have iron in their name.
Yep. All right. So, final. Okay, so we'll have one final question by the Ninja Reviewer. Ask all: is anyone planning on getting the Steam Deck? I don't see much of a point in having it.
Yeah, same.
I want to
So-
see how it handles in the long run. I don't want to be like a beta tester for the thing, only for them to stop supporting in the long run.
Yeah.
So I think the Steam Deck is good if you don't have a computer, if you don't have a strong computer.
All right.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
That's
fair.
what. But if you
Yeah.
have a really strong computer, there's no reason to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all preference based. So I'm not going to assume that it's a fruitless thing to have.
And you can
No.
also like you can basically turn it into a computer. Like you can have it docked, and that's basically turn it into like a PC essentially. Like you like there's been people that install Windows on it.
You can also install emulators.
Yeah.
You can
Oof.
have fucking Dolphin going on the Steam Deck and play Mario Sunshine.
We
and
on the
stuff.
GoldenFox podcast do not condone piracy.
Oh, I'm not saying I condone
Nope.
it. I'm just saying you could.
You're giving
Oh,
them
I'm
ideas.
All I'm saying is, if Nintendo would just release games, I
got
would
their
have
shit together,
pirate
yeah.
games. But look who has their poop together. Nintendo!
Yeah, because they don't care about the consumers. And on that note, I think it's time we end the Q&A. Because,
Yeah.
David 80s, you are not my supervisor. Don't tell me to go to sleep.
yeah, really. Anyways, so that concludes this podcast. It's been a really long time since I've made one. I hope it doesn't come to that type of gap again. I'm hearing laughter in the background. What's going on?
Me. Not me.
Sorry, I was laughing at what Solar responded with in the chat. You keep going. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So at this point, we'll have our ending statements and your social media preference. So, Misty, any final statements and any social media preference that you would like linked when this is on YouTube?
Final statement. Be good and eat your vegetables. Also, check out my YouTube channel whenever you get the chance. I am doing my best to do more animations.
Yep. Be sure to like. I'm also gonna have the link to the animatic that Misty has so far.
Preview.
The preview. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, so check that out. Raiza, anything you would like to say in any social media you prefer?
All right, my Twitter will be at TinyGriff, and also, if Nintendo doesn't give you the game you want to play, you have ways to play it.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That's going to be the title of this podcast. We at GoldenFox Podcast do not condone piracy.
I was gonna think of something in regards to the negative side of summer. But then again, we mostly talked about movies, so I don't know. I'll think of something. But yeah.
Well, we could talk about Pokemon when that comes out too.
Oh, that'll be fun. But no, as playing off of what Raiza said, there's a line that I think Thomas Jefferson said: "If a law is unjust, I'm drawing a blank here. I thought I knew it.
Kill it.
What?
Kill it. I don't know.
Hang on, I'm gonna have to look this up.
This is just like ask not for what you can do, ask not for what you
Okay.
Ryley, you're
do
high.
stuff for your people. No, I was going to say ask not for what you can do for your country, but what your country can do
Okay,
for you, or that
I
kind
found
of
it.
It's
stuff.
the other way around.
Yeah, okay, so I
Ask
I
not
know.
what your country can do for you,
Okay,
but what
so-
you can do for your country.
I found the I found the line. So if a law is unjust, a man is not only right to disobey it, he is obligated to do so.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
that's a good line.
Yep, that's the line from Thomas Jefferson.
And
know what that
basically
means?
sums
Don't pay
up all of
taxes.
Robin Hood.
All right, Ryley, any final statements and preferred social media?
No.
No, I'm not
Just my
surprised.
usual Twitter, YouTube, whenever the fuck I put something out in there. Usual places.
We need to figure out a way to motivate ourselves.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
been
really?
trying to get more. I've actually been writing more, surprisingly enough.
Yeah.
I'll start yelling.
All right, Solar. I'm sure you have a preferred social media with a final statement.
Alright, so final statement here. Watch Top Gun Maverick if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. You'll have a good time. And as for my preferred social media, my nuts. My fat fucking nuts.
When he drops.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, this
I know
is the end of
that
the
was planned.
podcast. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Misty, you son of a bitch. As if jamming your broken horn up your ass wasn't enough.